In this video, we're going to speak briefly on in-house labor and how we bring that into the project. We're going to use our same project as before, the Georgia Cyber Center Executive Suite here. And we're going to go ahead and select our location and our system, in this case installation. Now, labor items are found here on the left-hand side, again in the Explorer tabs, and in this case Labor Explorer. You'll notice a few different labor types in here. I guess the AV Systems Engineering, Intertechnology, State Contract AV Integrator, and a Facilities Contractor Custom. For in-house projects, we're going to focus on the AV Systems labor piece. So for any project, we've got design and documentation, right? We're spending time putting the project together. There's documentation behind the project, things of that nature. So any project is going to have design and documentation on it. In the case of this project, we're going to be receiving materials at our warehouse. We're going to be making sure those items are in good working order. Now in this case, we're not building a classroom system, say, so we don't have a lot of off-site testing and configuration, but there's going to be some because we got to bring those items in, make sure they're good before we show up on site to install them. Again, and that very next thing would be on-site installation. In this case, we don't have any system programming necessarily tied to this system. There's no control system, so we'll skip programming on this job, and we're going to add some on-site installation. And then of course admin and system commissioning. Once everything's installed, we've got to turn it all on and make sure it all works properly together. So we're going to have that bit of effort on the project as well. So now we've got our labor items brought into the project. Now we have to go in and edit them, because you can see here it really ballooned this project's cost. Whenever these items come in, they come in with a cost associated with them, with hours associated with them. So let's start by addressing our AV system design. So once you just double click the item and it brings up the editor. Now as you edit these items, once they're added to the project, you're only editing them as related to the project. You're not affecting them where they live in the catalog. So don't fear that you're going to skew these numbers as you add them in the future. When you edit them, once the item's in the project, it's just for that project. And you're going to do this for just about every project. You're going to have to edit these items once you add them, the labor items, once you bring them into the project. So once you open it up, you click on the price tag, and here's where you change these things. So for instance, this project, very small in scope. We certainly don't have 8 hours of labor going into this, maybe 2, and dealing with all the documentation, IDR, shuffling everything around with the business office, things like that. And so to make this where there's no cost to the end user, but on the back end we can still run metrics, that's why we put these labor hours in here, and we're going to click them as non-billable. You see it changed the installation price to $0 by clicking non-billable. So before, that 2-hour effort was worth $300, now it's non-billable, and we're going to save and close that. We're going to do the same thing for each of these items, editing the hours and calling them non-billable. And you really just have to go by your gut, a bit of experience on what you assign these hours on these projects. So on this, again, we're just sort of receiving a few items, making sure they're in good working order. We're going to have to transport them to site, things like that. We're going to call that 2 hours of effort. Our on-site installation. So for this project, we're probably looking at a half-day job. So we'll say that's 4 hours. And it's a half-day job for 2 people to go do. So that 4 hours is 8 hours of effort. If it were a full-day job for 2 people, that would be 16 hours of effort. So kind of keep that in mind. Multiply the number of people that you think the job's going to take by the number of hours that you think it's going to take, because an 8-hour job for 2 people is really 16 hours total effort. And that's the way a contractor would build that out, and that's what we're trying to do, is sort of show what effort that AV Systems is putting in, what that value is compared to a contractor. So again, we're going to call this non-billable. Then admin and system commissioning. This is an easy one, probably no more than an hour. We might be updating some firmware, making sure the air media works, getting it on the network, things like that. So now our labor's in here. That part's complete. Our project is pretty much done adding things to it. So that's the labor portion of bringing things in. Other projects, of course, the labor can be more complex. You'll have labor for each room, each part of the project. In this case, this project is very simple, and we just have one room, one job as part of this project. In our next video, we'll start looking at how the proposal looks with these items on it.